on in-delta transportation and flood management issues, and I wanted to point out that both of these are discussions that are going to be important as we proceed with our levee investment strategy. But there is a lot else going on, and I'm going to briefly mention some of those things here. The drought obviously is not improving. Due to hot weather, drought conditions have worsened over the past 2 weeks, with the percentage of the state suffering from the highest category increasing. Exceptional drought conditions have spread in Central California since a week ago, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor. And almost 33% of the state faces this exceptional drought condition category, up from 25% last week. Now every part of California remains in what's considered severe drought. A statewide poll in June found that most Californians surveyed said that the statewide drought has little or no impact on their daily lives, and a majority opposes the suspension of environmental protections or large-scale public spending to boost water supplies. Although 89% characterize the drought as a major problem or crisis, only 16% say it's personally affected them to a major degree. Also last week, the State Water Board, received a report that said between January and May of this year, California as a whole cut its water use 5% compared to the same period over the preceding 3 years. The figures were drawn from a survey of water agencies across the state that was conducted by the Water Board staff. The survey was sent to 443 water agencies, but completed by only 270. However, that 270 represented about 25 million retail customers. The state's data showed that the best conservation progress has occurred among water agencies in the Sacramento Valley region, about 10% from January through May, and the lowest is in the Central Coast and the San Francisco Bay Area, which reported 0 and 2% conservation, respectively. Now, last month, you may recall that we heard from the Delta Watermaster, Craig Wilson, on the topic of curtailments. The State Board is now following up on those curtailment notices with fines and penalties as they received an anemic response to their notices. They sent nearly 8,000 notices to water rights holders diverting surface water from the Stanislaus, Tuolumne, Merced, and San Joaquin rivers. And of that 8,000, only 20% responded. People were given a week to respond, and it's now been a month. So at least recently in the press, as recently as yesterday, they were discussing fines of up to $1,000 per day plus $2,500 per acre foot of water diverted. And these curtailment notices take effect immediately, meaning if you wish to appeal the curtailment, you still have to stop diverting until the appeal has been resolved. So back to internal business and following up more on last month's meeting, the contract between the Council and Arcadis for the levee investment strategy has now been finalized per your action last month. With the contract in place, the Arcadis team and staff will begin with a data review and collection phase and then begin outreach efforts in late July. So an early product that you can expect to see will be a white paper on flood risk and delta levees that will set the policy context for the project. And you'll receive a full report in July once the consultants have been on board. So last month, you also approved a comment letter, more like a comment package for the BDCP, the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. And it was on the same day that they announced that both the timeline for comments was extended, as well as they issued their associated implementation agreement. Our comments have been signed by the chair and sent, and they will be posted on our website if they are not already. And we are reviewing the implementation agreement with our Arcadis consultants and our staff to determine whether additional comments are warranted. It's looking right now like we likely will have additional comments. The comment period closes July 29th. So in just a moment, I'm going to talk to you about where we are as a staff on the priorities that you set for us at the beginning of the year. But I wanted to point out that the governor's budget was just signed, or the budget was just signed by the governor, I should say. And it included a lot of good news for the council, and good news in that it further supports our transition from a planning agency to an implementing agency. The total budget for the council includes 67 positions and about $17 million. Those are not new positions or new dollars, but that is the total. Of those positions, we actually received 12 new positions, which is notable, I think, and really speaks to the changing economic climate, but also the recognition of the transition of the council from writing a plan to now being out there coordinating agencies and implementing the plan, as well as administering our regulatory capacity. In addition to the 12 new staff, we also have 4 vacancies. So in the next 6 months, you're going to see about, hopefully, 16 new staff coming on board of the Delta Stewardship Council. So that's quite a shift. And we've actually completed a recent move where we are now all on the same floor of this building that we sit in today. And so you'll be seeing further capacity building and integration over the next few months. And today I'm happy to introduce you to our newest hire, supervising engineer Dustin Jones. Dustin, if you're in the audience, can you indicate? Dustin's background includes work on the State Water Project Reliability Report and modeling for emergency response and water supply. He has a BS in civil engineering from CSU Fresno and an MS in engineering from UC Davis. He was most recently with the Department of Water Resources for nearly 10 years, and he also previously worked for the Army Corps of Engineers and the Bureau of Reclamation. At the council, Dustin is going to serve as our lead engineer for the planning division. He will be assisting with the levy investment strategy, covered actions, performance measures, and more. So please join me in welcoming him. Sure. We're glad to have him. So now our executive fellow, Elizabeth Marcellet, is going to come to the table and provide the legislative report. First, I'll just highlight a few tidbits about the water bond, which you may be catching in the press. The governor met with legislative leaders this week and finally started to tilt his hand on where he is on a water bond, essentially indicating that he's not interested in supporting the current 2009 water bond scheduled for the ballot in the fall. And he also outlined some general parameters for what he would like to see in a revised water bond, which is significantly smaller than those that are being discussed in the legislature. He's looking for about $6 billion. And he would also like for it to support his water action plan, which we've discussed previously at council meetings. So, Elizabeth?